for less than the amount that's owed on taxes. Her bid is $5,000. The total outstanding amount is close to $7,000. The difficulty with this property has been that there were with people bidding on it was that there was 99-year lease on the land and another ownership interest by Home Incorporated that was involved, and then a second property, sister property, that split this. It was a total of 14 acres. This got 7, the other 7. And so due to the complexities of those leases, etc., people were reluctant to put in a bid. And fairly recently, there has been information that the lease and the home issues are resolved or being resolved. That's not really the town's perspective. The town's perspective is that we followed the legal tax collection process and foreclosure process, and that extinguishes the rights of any entity, be it lease or whatever, that because they all received notification. So all that said, Ms. Batchelder is bidding $5,000 for this 7-acre property with a house in not great condition at 50 Flanders Way. And in the same way that I've brought you other offers that we've had on some of these more difficult foreclosures, we have this one.
You said 7,000 is the town?
About 7,000.
Just looking at that, there's a lot of landlocked land out there, isn't there?
Yes, there. Well, the other thing that complicates it is that the access road to that property, a property owner on that road contests the right of access to the properties, even though the properties themselves include a deeded access across that property.
But that wouldn't be our concern
That
anyway.
is not our. That's not our concern. The town's issuance of a quitclaim deed when you sell property is that the town has quit its claim for unpaid taxes on that parcel. It then becomes taxable in the new person's name. It is up to them to obtain a warranty deed or any of those. This is just like the Edna Irving ones that you did at the last meeting that was up there and had access issues, and so it ended up the two abutters were the ones who actually bid on it, and one of them.
Did we have any other bids on this at the time?
We got none when we advertised,
there were no bids when
and
we
there
advertised,
have
right.
been, like I said, there have been several people who've been in and said they were going to, but
at the time we put it up for bid,
nobody
there were no bids.
nobody did.
Okay.
Did I understand that essentially all the lease stuff is null and void based on
What we
process?
on our foreclosure process,
Did
yes.
people know that were interested before they didn't bid? Did they know that there were?
Well, the sister property to this at that time was still subject to this, and that has since not the case anymore. So I think that, but no, our assessor has spent a good deal of time with a lot of people who've been in to make very clear that they have all the documentation that shows what people thought was what, but
So we are okay with, now that it's been through the bid process, we can up and sell to whoever we want to.
well,
correct?
we've been
Our due diligence has
looking,
been done.
but we have the due diligence is for it to be on the tax
Right.
rolls and
I mean, this isn't a bad price. Another piece in
Well,
behind.
no, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
It's
you
not
know,
bad.
we're recouping something, and then now going forward, we're still going to have something out of it, and it's
It'll be
off,
back.
it's off ours and back on them. So
You know, be back on the tax rolls.
Correct.
Bruce has got a question.
Can you make him a counter offer?
what to do.
What did you say?
Counteroffer.
Can you make them a counter? They made you an offer.
Well, the council can do anything it wants. It can, there was no, we did a minimum bid when we did the first time, and we got no bids for that price on this property. And
And the minimum bid was basically the tax.
Yes.
price. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, it's looking like you're not gonna get what's owed on it for back taxes. But
well, the council can say we won't entertain any price lower than what's outstanding on taxes if it wants to. I mean, that's a, but the council can.
But, I mean, there's no interest outside of this particular person.
Well, there have been people in, but nobody has actually put their money where their offer was.
If there isn't an offer, there's nobody interested, is my thought.
Yeah, I mean, the house is really rough. It's probably going to be torn down.
So what our recommendation to the council is we're recommending it from this committee, we either move forward, or do we leave it to, as you know, as pointed out, do we leave it to the council to?
Well, if you're not going to recommend to the council that they accept this, there should be feedback of some type to these people or to anyone that we're not going to entertain a bid less than what's owed in taxes, because then that becomes a standard for anybody that wants to do it. But this committee would need to recommend acceptance to the council to move it forward. If there's,
But I guess the question is, you know, and I don't know if we've ever done that, but do we recommend to the council that we go back to them and counter offer?
Or do we just recommend that we don't take anything less than what's owed for
Yeah,
taxes
yeah.
on any piece of
but
property?
I think
That's
that
probably
would,
the way to go.
A better way to go.
yeah,
There's the
Then-
number.
I mean, I haven't heard, since I've been here, I haven't heard us going back.
we've never,
To negotiate now.
it's always been sealed bids or a proposal that the
But all the
council.
proposals that have come forward in the past have at least been for the amount owed, correct?
No, there was,
Can we just sell one on
we
46?
Central Lane with no access.
Oh, those two
The
were
one that,
locked, yeah.
those two that were up to Maine Assets, Inc. That, I think that was the name
Up to
of it.
Camp.
Up to Camp, whatever it was. Taxes hadn't been paid on the lot since 2010. It was, even though it was, you know, $130 or $40 a year, it ended up being a bigger amount than.
Yeah, because if we keep
then
waiting to get the tax amount, it's going to keep going up. And,
Yeah.
I mean, fair market, this probably isn't that far off for what it is and the condition and the access, potential access issues.
Yeah, it's Wayne. How long do you?
Because it's going to keep going up, so you
It's
never.
going to keep going up.
Well, it's been since 2014 now, since you've seen any money on it, so.
Other committee members, what's your recommendation?
I say we take the 5,000, get it back on the tax rolls.
I agree with Peter.
You want to make that in form of a motion?
We can go forward to the council with it. Yep.
It's a motion, second?
Second.
Motion and seconded to recommend that a bid of 5,000 for map 4, lot 2, 50 Flanders Way, and submitted to the council for.
This would go on their next agenda.
Right.
It's not on the agenda tonight.
And then the discussion we had with the rest of the council members, see what their thoughts on it.
Yep.
At least we can get it started.
I didn't say all in favor, I guess.
We can, but we can still vote.
You're not on this committee.
We can still vote.
I'm looking at you.
Yeah, you're not on this committee. You
All
can't
right.
vote.
I think we can.
Huh?
Can't we vote
Yes,
still for-
yes.
yeah, for
Sorry,
president?
Paul, I was looking at Mark as if he was the committee member. The next one is drainage information, Woodland Heights, and then the Main Street piece. The first one is Woodland Heights, and as I read through that, it looks like the issue is standing water above Woodland Heights. That the way the write-up reads is that it typically happens in the wintertime, it appears. that
When
type
the,
of a
when the
road.
colors are frozen.
Yeah.
You know, when drainage is more.
So I don't know if you want to go through, does everybody have this? I mean, I can go through what the recommendations, or do you want to address it, Sue?
No,
I mean, the last two paragraphs really
Yeah.
spread out what they
Yeah.
want. I mean, yeah, if you want to go through that real quick, I think, and
I
then
mean, they essentially give some options for how to potentially solve the issue, some of which involves adjusting culverts, ditching and so forth at the bottom, between Woodland, Spruce, and Central Street, as this runs down through, all the way down to Central Street and crosses Central Street. Their recommendation is, at this point in time, and these are all of our associates, the engineers, to complete the ditch improvement between Woodland and Spruce, if I read that correctly, and hope it improves the standing water issue. Take a look at it. The next incremental step would be to modify the storm drains across Spruce Street to increase flow capacity, which would include increasing the size of one of the pipes going across there and that sort of thing. So they don't recommend changing the culvert crossing Woodland Heights at this time. It doesn't appear to be damaging the property. The concern is if they do the whole recommendation, which would require changing culvert pipes in a couple different areas, ditching all the way down to Central Street, or improving the ditching, that it might impact the property owners on that side. Could very well, and then we'd have some issues there. So it seems to me the prudent thing to do is to go with an incremental approach as they recommended, and complete the ditch improvement between Woodland and Spruce.
Jay Lamb, our Public Works Director, was in the discussion with the engineer and knows that we talked about the fact that the crew would be needing to do that ditching improvements as a first step, regardless, that would be our first measure, and then assess it beyond that. But the other thing that the engineer said is that it is not unusual for water to freeze our pond in the winter, especially if, you know, further down there's but if it's not going over the road and it's not washing out things, that it tends to, it's not reasonable to think that there will never be any kind of water that sits in ditches or backs up in drainage areas, but that to try and mitigate this as much as possible without creating a gusher at Central Street, that this would be a
Good
way
idea.
to start.
It's about a 900, I can't remember where I read it, about a 900 foot, we could do the whole thing, 900 foot distance. Oh, it's on the back. Any other comments from the public?
Where does the water go from Spruce Street now? Where is it?
It goes down through, from Woodland down to Spruce, through the wooded area, down to Central Street, crosses Central Street in a big, I think it was a 30
It's a big
inch,
pipe.
30-inch corrugated metal pipe across Central Street, so it's,
And where is that located? Down, like, below Joe Suarez?
yeah, well, if you think of, I live on Forsyth Avenue, if you're going up Central Street, you go by Forsyth Avenue, it's probably, I want to say, 100 yards on the right, somewhere up in there. And the map, there's a map here if you want to look at it, but it shows it. I can't tell who exactly that is. It doesn't show. Yeah, this is the end of the street by my house, so it's probably 100 yards from the end of Forsyth up on the right. And it shows it through a wooded area between Spruce and Central. It's already a ditch. It's a ditch. It just is not, you know, if they were going to do everything one of the options says, it would involve ditching, continuing to improve that ditch all the way down. And that might not necessarily solve the problem, or it might be too big of a, for what we really need to do. So So the recommendation is to take the next to last paragraph. In summary, our recommendation would be to complete the ditch improvement at this time between Woodland and Spruce, and see if this improves the situation by removing the standing water. So that's what, make a motion on that. Anybody want
So
to make a
moved.
motion?
Second?
You're not on the committee. Can you do?
Yeah, we can.
Oh,
We
you
can
can,
vote.
okay. We have a motion, a second, to complete the ditch improvement. All in favor? Opposed? All right, that one is set to go. The next one is the Main Street parking lot. Sue, you wanna-
We talked about this last time. This was a two-pronged thing. One is to complete the parking lot, but the completion of the parking lot accomplishes addressing the drainage issues that are a problem for those businesses that you see in front of that along Main Street that experience the sheeting effect of surface water that comes down over there, with the parking lot to be constructed so that it collects and redirects water to either an existing pipe that can be accessed over on, if you're looking at like this on the left, or over to the Central Street, which has one as well, depending on the flow capacity of this existing one on Central Street, I think. I'm not sure if that's big enough. But our engineers did a concept plan and an approximate cost of the parking lot and the drainage improvements, which was a little over $100,000. And the committee talked about it last time, wasn't ready to give a recommendation for that kind of an expenditure. There is sufficient funds in your highway improvement reserve to not only address the Park Street development project you wanted this year, but this as well as approximately $460,000 in that account. But the question, this drainage issue didn't start yesterday or the day before or the day before that. The water problems experienced by these businesses on Main Street coming across that have been years in the making, and so the council had requested a plan that would address, to see what a plan would to address that would look like and what it would cost, and that's what you have in front of you. So you would then you'd need to decide if you want to add that to your work plan for completion, or what you want to do with it.
I think Rich had mentioned last time that that's the main reason that building isn't being sold, and we've also had a couple of property owners there that have,
And he's
I
had
think
issues.
it's affecting their business as well, so.
Well, there have been several people looking at the old flower shop, and they've all come in to get copies of this.
And we spent all the money to acquire the land, we might as well utilize what we acquired.
It just seems that as long as I've been on the couple of years I've been on the council, we've always had the issue of not enough parking. You know, it's been brought up several times in different committees and different groups, and I think if the money is there, it will be solving a problem and remedying others. So
Yeah, I think that's the big point, is not only the parking, but as we mentioned, we've got owners that are trying to run businesses.
get control of the water and back, yeah.
It wouldn't, that throughway behind it doesn't impact the right-of-way, it doesn't do that, but it does not provide a right of access into the parking lot directly from Main Street. That would be from the Central Street side, because that alleyway is not wide enough
But
to...
as I recall, we're talking about taking down fences and doing a better job plowing.
And they took down fences. They did some of that to ease up on that also.
pleasure of the committee.
I think that, what did you said there was the money in the
Highway Reserve.
reserve? Is that targeted for anything else that we need to?
Well, we had, you had committed $250,000 of that to the Park Street project, which is the Broadway extension to Park Street, where Park Street goes up, the town share to extend Broadway over to that, including water sewer
Mhm.
over there, if Wardwell is doing the rest of the cost from Park Street up to that and slightly beyond, actually. That 250,
Still sitting there with no...
that's part of that 460, but there's another 210
So we
in
still
it.
leave about 110,000 in the account.
Is there any more due diligence on this piece of it before we would be in a position to make a recommendation, or is this what we would need to move forward?
It's a pretty simple project in terms of that, but the evaluation, the important part in this one was the evaluation of the source of the surface water and how best to collect and direct it, so that it wasn't creating a skating rink over here behind in the winter. Jim has a question.
This cost that you mentioned, the $100,000, who, is that a contracted price, or is that a price for us here locally to do it ourselves, for the town to do it, or is that?
They did this as a contract. They prepared this estimate as if it was a contract bid, as if the town put it out to bid, not doing it on their own.
Okay, and our intention would be to put it out to a contractor, or is it something that our town crew would be doing?
I believe that it would be something that a contractor would do. It would be installing there certainly for cost-saving measures, there may be things such as hauling material, doing prep work at the town, but for the installation of the drains and collections and that kind of stuff, when we did the water lines and sewer up on the business park, we contracted because that's not a specialty that the town. This is
Well,
This is more than
conscious
it-
decision many months ago that the DPW would not be going forward with construction projects, but would focus over on maintenance. And I believe that was part of the decision project for up at the industrial park to have a contractor.
that, and the fact that for something where you're doing elevations and surveying kind of things to make sure your grades are right, that if we do it with a contractor, we have a warranty on work to ensure that it also. But that doesn't mean that some prep work and that kind of thing can't be done hauling material or
And I guess I probably didn't
grading
ask my
kind of
question
stuff.
right when I was asking about due diligence, is if, to Jim's point, if this goes out, we might break it out a little bit before we bid it out, or before we get a contractor involved, see what could be done by the town or not.
This clearing, whatever that, is itemized there could certainly be some, but the other stuff most likely would be installed by a contract.
I have another. How much, at this point, how much have we, or has the town invested in that lot? And I guess there was something removed from there, there's been some weathering done to this point, and some fencing, or some removing some fencing, and we've had to pay for that, I assume.
We didn't own we took the fence down. I think it was there when we got it. I don't know how much the town paid for the nascent. I would have to look that up, Jim.
It was 90 to 100. 90 to 100 is what town paid for it.
I wasn't in here when that took place, so I really didn't know how much has already been invested in it, how much money we've already got dropped on it.
The cost of acquisition and then time and demolition for what was there, right? That was, did we take that down as well?
Yeah, the town
after-
took it down.
The town took it down as well.
I want to say the purchase was 90, that's my recollection.
I can look that up for you, Jim. I don't know the answer off the top of my head as far as what we spent to take it down or to purchase it.
Yeah, well, in fact, even though it's an ongoing thing, there's been a separation from time to time to continue on with it. There is a limit on how much can be spent per project, I assume.
I'd make a recommendation that we recommend approval to move forward with, to put this before the council, to move forward with it.
Pursue some bids.
Pursue some bids.
Second.
Second.
Oh, Jeff.
Just to let you know, this is a site improvement that will be subject to planning board approval, so you may want to consider going through that process before you put it out to bid.
All right, we have a motion, a second. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, before we go, question?
Just a quickie, as you proceed with it, as it goes ahead, be very wise, I think, to put an underground conduit into your project, because that location in the wintertime should really be lightly illuminated for the benefit and safety of people coming to the restaurant, on the back door of the bookstore, or anything in that area. Plus, it's an area where somebody might congregate. And the trend lately has been to put lights lower rather than higher, so as not to bother the upper residents in the area. It's a small thing, but if you put it in now, costs you practically nothing. Adding it later costs you a lot.
Thank you. All right, so again, we have motion second. All in favor? Opposed? We'll recommend to the council move forward and entertain, develop a specification for bids. And number 5 is safety committee recommendations. We have a number of recommendations from the Bucksport Safety Committee.
I think the chief is going to talk about first.
Want to address these?
We do have a safety committee. It consists of myself as the chairman, Craig Bowden, Jeff Hammond, Dave Mishu from the water company, Jay Lamfer from the highway department, Jamie Bowden represents the water company, Chris Grindle and Rich Rotella are on there also. So all the aspects of the town are covered. We've had several meetings and visited some buildings to look at safety aspects. And I will say that the MMA rep has been at those meetings also with us, and he did say that most of these recommendations should be highly looked at. So if you see under recommendation number 1, it was, we went through the town office is what we're talking about. This building is pretty much wide open from a safety perspective. If you come through the front doors, most of the doors, the assessor's door is always open. The door going into where the ladies do their work is closed but always unlocked, and the town manager's door is, no pun intended, always open, but there's easy access once you get through those front doors to anywhere in the building, including going down over the stairs and coming down into where the workplaces are here, and they don't have any sight of anyone coming down to the office. So you're going to see in here where it recommends signage on doors, stopping to talk to the ladies at the front office to be able to tell the people downstairs, basically there's someone coming to see you rather than being on the phone with your back turned and have someone sitting in the chair behind you. So just to go down through these real quick, you'll see on the first recommendation was to close all the doors. The assessor's door is unlocked, the counter door is unlocked, the town manager's door is unlocked. or open. Top of the stairs is wide open at this point. That door is never shut. The one going into the small meeting room is locked most of the time, so they do have to come through the front doors to get throughout the building, which is a plus. It was recommended to put signs on the front door notifying all the people coming in to see the ladies at the front counter, the counter staff, and let them know what your order of business is, especially if you're going downstairs. And to put something on the door that's closed coming down the stairs to let them know they have to go see the ladies first before they go downstairs. You'll see in there the motions are made. These all passed with some discussion. But the second recommendation was to add a new wall and a door with a key fob and security system, and have fobs on all the doors up there so that they're locked, but people with permission can obviously get through those doors. The wall itself would actually be at the end of the counter so that people that come in through can't get into the offices besides jumping over the counter, actually, and they wouldn't be able to get any access down
Back
into
towards the front doors.
right by Sue's office. At the end of the counter, right there, a door, a wall with a door in there, so that the access is limited. The key fobs I went over, you call them key fobs. Fobs on the doors are a card system with permissions. The third recommendation was the front entrance doors be locked during nightly meetings. At this point, this building is completely wide open. Right now, we don't know who's upstairs. I'm sure you've all sat here and heard people in throughout the office, and you don't really know who's in with the ladies' workspace at this point because they can jump over the counter or normally can get through the door or go through the assessor's office. That was number 3. Number 4, add a gate or a structure or a glass with a pass-through through the counter where the ladies do all the work with the public. And just basically it's to close that in an emergency situation or at night. If you were to leave, access from the top floor down through, all the doors would be locked and there would be a gate so people can't get into that workspace. Because at this point you really don't know who is in that space when no one's around. Number 5 was addition of a second door in the back of the town manager's office. That came up because we have had a few issues in that office and there's no means of escape really once you're in there. And I myself have taken people out of that office that have not been happy, and we've been lucky so far because there is no way to get out besides jump out the second story window. So something to be considered.
Maybe a trap door in the floor.
Yeah, push the button and fall down in here somewhere. Number 6, recommendation to change the Economic Development's office into a storage closet as it initially was when the building was built. Move the Economic Development Director back to its previous location, which is next door, and as a means of escape into the parking lot. And number 7 was basically those are training aspects that we can take care of. Panic button training that they have, PA phone, run, hide, fight training, all of that stuff can basically be taken care of by the police department. Actually can teach those classes on a yearly basis. So that's really what we had for recommendations for this building. And as I said,
priority, Sean, in terms of
we basically just did the tour of the building. I think the main thing is the focus is upstairs. The second thing we talked about is downstairs because they never know who's coming in. They can be on the phone with their back to when it's actually happening. When they turn around, someone's sitting on the chair behind them. So
I'm just thinking in terms of there's no dollars associated with this. We're looking at what to prioritize first based on cost and benefit. So
yeah, I think with the doors locked up there, with a key card system in the wall, will really take care of 70% of it. I think Jeff has it's up there now, actually. I think you have that in your handout, too.
No, we don't have that one.
I think I've got it here. I can hand it around as long as Jeff, do you want to explain that a little bit, since you drew it up, so you know
so
it's
this,
the best. So.
It's kind of a blurry picture, but this is the front entryway coming into the lobby. This is the administration office. This is where the front counters are. So the new wall and door will be placed here. So it'll isolate the town manager's office from the lobby. And then you walk through here. This door obviously is kept open all the time. That would be, I guess, shut. Wouldn't that too be shut? Not necessarily. If this one would be kept shut and secured. So passage through this door is by permission only, to the public, and with a key fob with staff. So that's the second recommendation, I think, is to build a wall here to prevent unauthorized or uncontrolled access to the downstairs.
Some of it is really just shutting the doors and stuff, but if you build that wall, the next door may not need to be shut because you have limited access getting through there. So I would just add that with everything going on in the world today, it's something that should be at least looked at. And the MMA rep was here and really highly recommended, I believe it's in the option of adding the new door with the wall will take care of 70% of your problems. So.
I absolutely agree with a gate or something to close that
Yeah.
the counter space up there. I mean, even coming up here, somebody walking in here during a council meeting,
Right.
they can still go upstairs, and that space is wide open.
It is.
And
And the recommendation is to make this the only access point during council meetings. Everything would be locked.
That would be your best bet, yeah. If not, you could put the gate up there and keep it the way it is, but with all the doors locked, so there's no access to anything.
Comment?
I actually agree with Sean. I mean, this building was built in the 90s, early 90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
And a lot of things have changed in the last 25 years. and-
Certainly
and
have.
This is keeping up with the way that things need to be done.
I think we should follow all the recommendations and go forward and get some pricing.
Comments from the public? So the recommendation is to give to the council or not direct the council, but get some pricing before we put it before a vote from the council.
Okay.
And we will be back, we're gonna be doing the other buildings, we've done most of them. I think we have wastewater left to do, but we're doing all of the town buildings basically to look at.
John, is there a way to get grants for improvements like this? That you know
I
of?
don't believe, not that I know of.
What was that?
Grants, I don't know of
Possibility
any
of getting grants
grants
for
for
things like that?
buildings, for municipal buildings.
I don't-
There's
I
not
don't-
for schools either, not for
No.
higher education schools, I know.
We do know that, I know personally that events can occur. Someone can come in who are suffering some other issues unrelated to the town that fortunately the police responded very quickly and the front office staff was very helpful. And since that time, we've installed some additional security measures to help. I would agree with the chief that that wall and an ability for the counter area to be, would address a significant amount of, because it would then slow
Limits the
down whatever
access.
was going beyond that.
Okay, so we have a motion on that,
Yep.
and a second to recommend to the council develop pricing on the recommended safety improvements. Anything more from the public?
Just one quick question, I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but if you close that off by putting that gate in, is there gonna be an egress issue where that's a public spot up there?
Egress from behind it?
From out of that area in case of a fire or something?
There's still a door there.
Yeah.
The gate's just on the
There's
counter.
two in both places.
The gate's just on the counter.
No, the one,
There'd only be a gate coming down where the counter space is. I think that's what you're talking about.
okay.
We did discuss that too, though,
I get it, I know.
the wall would have to be looked at, so it's up to code by the fire marshal's office and all that, to make sure that,
So you have the downstairs and still out.
so that there's no violations, but they'd have to look at that also, to make sure it's,
Yeah, I'm just curious. those things they want two laid out.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? It's a vote. And the last piece was sign update, total postmarks.
2 meetings ago, I presented an idea of making the business-friendly sign at the western end of Main Street usable to also display banners like we do down by the bridge. And during the meeting, the mayor asked if it might be feasible to install 2 banner poles down there to do exactly what we're doing now by the bridge. So I went down and looked at it, but before I show you the picture of what I saw here, this is again the existing sign we have there now. And I was suggesting putting some structural and decorative additions to the poles to make them be able to support 8-foot long banners. Something like that. So I went down and looked at the site down there and took a photo to show you. Hopefully, there we go. This is the area that was potentially a place for banner poles. You can see it's landscaped nicely now. A sliver of this land area here is owned by AIM. Once you get up about here, there's a lot here that is owned by the Main Central Railroad. The town has an easement to locate the structure here on it. And then just above that is where the business-friendly sign is located. So I'm not sure there is an area here that would be suitable for erecting 2 banner poles. First of all, I don't think the town owns any property here to be able to do that. And it might not fit well in that area there. That's just my thought. But so I would ask if the council or the committee would consider allowing me to move forward with the idea of widening the signposts for the business-friendly sign and fit it so that we can hang banners there as well.
So it's going to stay in the same spot?
The business-friendly sign? Yes, that won't be moved. We may have to clear a little vegetation to make it a little easier to see.
My only concern is if it's on AIM, what's going to happen with that property? Because there's going to be a lot of deconstruction.
It's not. It's not on AIM. No.
Okay, I thought you said it was.
This area here is. This is AIM property through here.
Okay.
But up here, this is the Main Central Road. They have a lot here, a small lot, and then I believe the existing business-friendly sign is on that lot, or possibly within the right-of-way. It's kind of hard to tell by looking at tax maps. But I do know that the town has an easement for this structure here on the Main Central Railroad property.
Okay. Thanks.
Can
But
you go back to the picture that you showed of the drawing of the sign of the banners? So the only, I mean, when you look at that, and the way that's depicted, and that may be just because you put something on there, but would they be sitting with the sign? Are we gonna allow, I mean, if you had a bunch of oversized things, it seems like it wouldn't look very good.
but these,
It drowns out, like, if it's like that, it drowns out the town of Bucksport sign.
yeah, well, yeah, it is obviously a larger sign than that one there. These are the same size banners that we display on the banner poles, 3 feet wide by 8 feet long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
it's
this-
just the way that doesn't look as bad as I think it
Yeah,
looks there.
this is a representation of something that will not look exactly like that. This lattice work will not end up looking like it's shown here. It
It's
was-
just that the town of Bucksport sign it would be better if that was wider, so that, you know,
Well,
everything sort of,
yeah.
could do that.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
What supports the lattice work?
It's a wood frame that's attached right to the 4x4 posts that are there now.
Okay, so you just need approval to continue to explore the options.
Yeah, if you permit me to go ahead with this, then I'll I guess be contacting contractors to get some ideas of the cost